You know, there's 7 or 8 now. I shouldn't say that, but I lost contact. How many we have? It's just, there's all these regions all over the place.
Right.
And now we're getting more international women too. In fact, we had a couple of gals from Canada who want us to come to Ottawa, so they're going to be voting on which place they're going to go to next for the 2019. No, 2019 will be aboard the Queen Mary.
Oh,
It's been our whole conference there. Can you imagine?
that's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Anyway, I did turn down a lot of jobs in the region and headquarters, and in fact, there was a chief in Roanoke that was arrested because he was sexually molesting his children. He was his stepchildren, and fired, of course. And the FAA offered me his job. I said, no, thank you. I just don't want to do that. I just love being an airplane,
Right.
controller, and I just stayed on as long as I could as a controller.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any glitches. So I was safe, orderly, and expeditious.
Right.
All that stuff.
Exactly. So how did you handle being president of PwC
Well, that
while
was-
working full time?
Well, that was easy because I had a good staff.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Jackie was in the Western region. Gwen was out in Albuquerque, and she was in the center or in the training center, and Barb was up in the Ohio area. Her husband just passed away too. Jackie's husband passed away. My husband passed away.
Oh my.
So we're down to Gwen and her husband because she was like the baby. She came in. She looked like she was 17 when she came in.
Oh
She was a little over. But
yeah.
she was a good gal, smart gal. Yeah. I think they chose me because I lost the toss, is what I try to tell them.
Oh.
Not
Somehow
really.
I doubt that.
No.
Was there a nomination process
Sure.
for or did you just, people threw their own hats in the ring?
It was a nomination, but I guess overwhelmingly they chose me for whatever reason. I said, okay, and then they elected me. I said, okay, just go do the job. But I didn't the first 2 years, we had something called the familiarization trips, FAM trips back then.
Yes.
So I would jump on an airplane in my two-year tenure and go all around the country trying to talk to groups of women and get them interested in PwC, which was fun. I met a lot of really neat. But sometimes the men from the union would come into our meetings, which I said, I'm not going to kick them out.
Right.
They're welcome to. And I told them, if you want to stay, we're going to talk about women. If you have a problem with that, then I ask you to leave. And some of them did, but they were pretty good for the most part. Besides, I was bigger than most of them.
And the facility chiefs had no problem with you coming in and talking
Well,
to
no, we always had permission.
Okay.
We always get permission. I wouldn't do something,
Right. Okay.
that, incredible.
And you became an official FAA organization at some point?
The following year, we got official resignation. I'm trying to think. Rock. I forgot the names.
Don Rock?
Yeah, Don Rock. Yeah, we got official recognition. Well, the first year also, we had to hire an attorney. I went to ATCA and I talked to the head of ATCA. I said, I could use some advice here. What attorney should I use? And he says, well, I could loan you mine, just to get you going, which I did. And it was very nice of him.
Right.
Hartle, Gabe Hartle, super guy. And so I got advice from his attorney, and we hired one of our own. One of our gals was in the 99s, and she knew a woman that was going around the country setting up chapters for 99s, who was an attorney. She's an incredible woman, Arlene Feldman.
Yes.
You know Arlene?
She became our regional administrator.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, she got into the FAA because of us, I think. And she's just incredible. Her husband left her, and she raised the kids by herself. And she's just incredible. She went to school, got her degree as an attorney. And I heard about her through this gal in the FAA who was setting up, who was in these organizations that I was talking about. She was a pilot. And so I called Arlene one day, and I told her who I was. I said, I'd like to sit down and chat with you. She was down in the New Jersey and the Philadelphia area, so I fammed down there. We got together and chatted. She said, sure, I'll help you out. So she set us up, and we were incorporated in the state of Delaware with a friend of hers. In fact, the woman just gave the job up. She's been, the whole time, she was our corporate sponsor.
Why Delaware?
Cheap.
Okay. I know a lot of corporations are
Well,
incorporated
save
there.
money. Because we didn't have much money.
Right.
Like none. And this woman set us up, and I stayed in touch with Arlene, and she got us organized so that we could be recognized by the FAA, which we did. And I wanted to meet Don Rock, and I called a lot of our gals and said, why don't you come in and be a part of this? So we took pictures of everybody. And,
Oh,
you know, I wanted them to be a part of all of it. So,
right.
So they came in, and we got going from that standpoint. So the FAA totally recognized us as an official organization. And they wrote us up on some of the web pages and so forth.
Right.
Our
Oh, okay.
newsletters.
Does the FAA do the dues collection for you?
No.
Okay.
Initially, we did it ourselves. We were trying to work every job with the women themselves, but then we realized it was a bit cumbersome, so they did set up a dues-paying organization within our group, and which is fine. You know, it worked out much better. But what these gals are doing now with this organization just blows my mind because they're so aggressive and innovative and smart. You know, they're a lot smarter than I am with all this technology coming out. I have trouble with my computer and my cell phone, for crying out loud, and they're way beyond me with all this stuff. I'm very, very, very impressed with these young ladies, and it just makes me want to cry. So don't get me going.
Oh, okay. Are you successful at recruiting younger controllers?
The women now, yes. As a matter of fact, when I came here, I met a woman downstairs that I told her about it. She says, well, I'd like to be a controller. She says, how much money do they make? I said, oh, $150,000 to $200,000 up in my area in New York. I blew her mind.
I bet.
And I don't know what she's making here. And I've been trying to get in touch with her again to see if she'd come to one of our meetings today.
Right.
And I haven't been able to reach her, so I hope she heard about it. I gave her my card.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So what is PwC's primary sort of mission, other than a place where controllers can get together?
Well, I think that's it. We had no way of communicating initially and
Right.
talking to one another. Just be able to reach out and talk to another woman in this field is something. Because where I am down in Venice, Florida, there's no other women controllers around that I know of. Not that I would want to, you know, get involved with them, because they have their own little
Right.
bailiwick. But they're just a super, super bunch of gals, and they can reach out to one another now. They have the computer, they have their cell phones, you know, which is good. And they do, they reach out. They set up meetings all over the place. Excuse me, breakfast, coffee. So that now these two gals come in this morning and wanted us to consider Ottawa, which is fine. I don't know if you remember when they had a gunman up in Ottawa a while back, and he was around and he got inside their Capitol building.
Right.
And there was a man that was in charge of, I forgot his job title, but he's like 6'10". He was a mounted policeman, you know, mountie. And anyway, he heard about where this man was in that particular building, and he was worried about the people on the floor in Canada.
Right.
So he went down, he found out where he was, and if you can imagine, I envisioned this man, like he's like probably a 6'6", but he found out where this man was hiding behind a pillar, and so he had his own gun, and he went down and he threw himself down on the floor in front of this guy and started firing. You know, I said, how the heck did he do that? But he did, and he took the guy out.
Wow.
So they were safe. In the interim, this man, I shouldn't talk about Canada, but they so impressed me. He went on and became an ambassador to Ireland, I think. Just a super young man. And he was a farmer too, so.
After your own heart.
Yeah, right. Well, I grew up milking cows and doing all the chores on the farm, helping my dad cut wood and gathering sap. We made maple syrup. And we had gather the hay, of course. He started me on driving the tractor when I was 9, the truck when I was 12,
Oh,
car
boy.
when I was 14, but all on the farm.
Right.
You know, to keep it legal. And putting the hay in the mow and the silage, blowing the silage into the silo, and you had to wear a little hat to protect yourself and tamp it down. And by the time I learned how to shovel manure, I knew I was ready for the government. So I tell people that just to get a laugh out of them.
It works.
It works. Yeah.
So educational, I think PwC is very involved in educational
Yes, ma'am.
activities.
We're nonprofit educational, and they have classes all the time. They teach these kids so much. You have to talk to the new kids what's going on, because it's way over my head, you know, what's happening. There was a girl by the name of Abigail Smith who was down there this morning. When we had a conference in Washington years ago, Abby was a bicyclist, and I was too back then. And we got a bunch together and rented some bikes, and Abby took us on tour all over New York City, or all over Washington,
Wow.
and out across the bridge over to the memorials and back. It was a neat trip. But anyway, she's in charge of one of the projects in headquarters now, so she was giving us a...
What's she doing at headquarters?
You'll have to ask her. You know, these people have titles a million long,
Yes,
mile
this is
long.
true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she's got some really, really good plans, and it's one of those technical trains. I wonder how many trains come by this hotel every day. That's one of the things that, not that they bother me, but I'm just curious about it, how many people they haul.
I
Lots
don't
of 'em.
know.
Yeah.
A lot of freight trains